Hi, my name's Dave, and welcome to 1 Acre in the Napa Valley. I thought it might be interesting to pick one of the vines in the vineyard and to follow it all the way through the 2008 growing season. Today is Monday, March the 3rd, and as you can see, we're just about finishing up with the pruning that we're doing. The pruning, the basic reason that we prune the plants is to create a balance between the crop load, the fruit, and the vegetative growth. And in doing so, we can achieve the right sugars and acids in the fruit for the best quality of wine. Now, when it comes to the actual pruning itself, it'd be good to just touch on a few different components of the plant. And as you can see, this one has already been pruned. There's two main components of the pruning that we'll consider on the plant. One of the main aspects of pruning is what this is. This is called a spur. And you can see up here, this longer piece of material here is called a cane. Spurs and canes are essentially the same thing. It's just that spurs are a little bit shorter. The spurs are where the following year's cane comes from and the following year's spur. Now, to understand that a little bit better, we might focus on what these are, each of these little nodes, and at each little node what we see is a bud. Now, inside of each of these buds is a shoot. So when the weather gets a little warmer, what will happen is inside of here a little leaf will emerge and a shoot will grow out. And what's actually very interesting is that inside of this little bud is where the fruit is. There's basically two clusters inside of each of these little buds. So as the shoots emerge, the leaves will grow and the clusters will show up about at nodes 2 or 3, and that's why we get all the fruit in this zone. Now, what we want to do is put a sufficient number of buds on the plant that we have a good amount of crop load, but not so many buds that the plant can't ripen the fruit. And so that's really the main purpose of the pruning. So let's take a look over on this side at this plant. As you can see, nothing's been done to it yet. And so what we'll do is we'll pick out 2 spurs on each side and 1 cane like the other plant had, and then the rest of the growth we'll cut away. So since the spurs are really what determine the shape of the vine in the years to come, the spurs are really the most important thing to determine first. We want the spurs to be as close to the stalk of the plant as possible, because if the spurs get too far away, then the plant gets too elongated. So let's take a look down here. You can see this little shoot right here. That's a good candidate for a spur because it's in tight and it's down a little bit low. So, and the spur, remember, will have two buds. One bud will be next year's spur and the next cane also. So we'll cut this one right here. That'll be the lower spur. And we'll cut this out of the way. Don't need this. And this little shoot here we'll take out of the way. Now if we pan up just a little bit, you can see right here we've got 2 shoots. One's a little bit more to the inside and the other is a little bit more to the outside of the plant. So we'll use this one as the spur. So we'll cut it down, cut some of these pieces off. There's a bud there and a bud there. And this taller one we'll use as the cane. I'm just going to trim that. Now what you see in this piece of the plant here, this is last year's cane. So we're not going to use that at all. So what we'll do, we'll just use the bigger loppers and we'll just get rid of that and cut that one right off. You might be noticing I'm kind of cutting these up into smaller little pieces, and the reason I do that is because it makes it a little bit easier when the mowing takes place. In the bigger vineyard where the rows are much wider, they can go through with a tractor, but because I just use a lawnmower to go through these, I can't leave them too big, otherwise it really kind of tears the lawnmower pretty badly. So get this one out of the way here. And so we can see we've got this side of the plant completed. And I'll just take some of these pieces out here, which are actually from the neighboring plant, and that'll make a little bit of room, make it easier to see. Okay, get these out. Now, on the other side of the plant, we'll do the same thing. Move this out of the way. Now over here, I think you can probably see from your vantage point, we've got 2 shoots, these 2 right here. This would be a good candidate for a spur. There's 2 little buds down tight, so I'll just move those out of the way, trim that down, and this will be our cane. Now I want to leave another spur down low, and I don't think you can see it from where you are, but there's another ideal candidate for a spur right there. so I'll leave that one. And then the only other thing left to do is to take off the rest of the brush here. So we'll get these off. These are this is last year's cane there. Take that off. Get this out of the way. And we'll take this one off. We'll clean the plant up real well. So now what we're left with, as you can see, is what we're left with is two canes, one on my left, one on my right, and we have 4 spurs, 2 on either side. Now, since each of these little buds, like we mentioned, has 2 little clusters inside of it, we can predetermine the amount of crop load we're going to have by how many of these little buds we'll leave. So, on a plant like this, the vigor that it's shown, we can probably leave about 6 or 7 buds on this cane. So there's 1, 2, 3, 6. We'll cut this one off about right there. And we'll do the same here. 2, 4, 6, leave that one about there. Now, pruning is a little bit like tailoring clothes. Every plant's a little bit different. What you want to do is take a look at the plant and make a determination as to how much strength the plant has exhibited the prior year before you make a determination on how many buds to leave. Because if you leave too many buds, then there'll be too much fruit and the plant won't be able to adequately ripen the fruit. So what we need to do now is attach these to the wires. So grab a pruning little tie here, and we'll take this one, and you kind of need these just a little bit. You might be able to hear them cracking. We'll wrap it around, and we'll tie this down to the fruiting wire right here. And on the other side, we'll take this one. This one isn't quite going the right direction, but we'll kind of help it out a little bit, and we'll kind of bend it down just a touch. This is okay. Some school of thought even is that by kind of kneading it like that, it kind of gets the line a little bit more active, or the cane there. So we'll tie that one down. And so there we have it. 2 spurs on each side and 2 canes. And then we'll watch this as it goes along through the year. What we'll do so we can identify this plant is, and we can revisit it and make sure we find the right one. I'll put a little piece of tape around it with a bow, like a little tie, like a little bow tie for him, and we'll revisit this little fella as the season goes along. So, like I mentioned, today is Monday, March the 3rd, so we'll be back in about 3 weeks or so and have a look to see how the shoots are emerging. And so, from the beautiful day in the Napa Valley, I'd like to thank you for joining me here, and I'll see you in just a few weeks.